Angela, this is really cool that you are sitting down here talking to me. I'm really glad that we're going to get a chance to know each other a little bit better. So are you ready for this?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, guys, let's get affiliated. All right, so I think we start these things with a little icebreaker. You want to help us out?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know what these are. This is going to be really interesting.
I hope I get something.
This is how we really get to know each other.
All right. Aliens have just landed on planet Earth. How would you sell them a house?
Oh boy, I would probably, they'd have to have a big backyard to land their spacecraft. So, and I don't know what kind of garage you would use for that, but probably some acreage. I don't know if you, how that works out here in California. Back home, we've got acreage.
Footage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think they probably have to have a lot of, it seems like maybe a lot of outlets for all their devices. Probably the school system, because, they want to have to learn about how to become, Earthlings.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Have you had enough coffee for a question like that?
Yeah, I don't get.
Please don't ask me a question. Is it my turn?
I think I get to ask you now. Yeah. All right. Let's do this. Who's in your dream lineup at a music festival? It could be a living artist or a dead artist. I'll give you three. You get three. Top three. If you could go to see three acts at them, like opener, middle, and end. Who are those three acts?
Living or
could be
Okay. I think Elvis would be one.
That's a great answer.
Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20.
Okay.
And, Paramore. It's just Paramore. My daughters and I sing it in the car.
Oh,
we
nice.
wail to it.
So that way you could bring your daughters to the show too.
So multi-generational. Elvis would be like something I could share with my dad.
All right, here's a follow-up to that question. Do you think those three groups would get along together if they were on a tour bus for a year together? Think they'd all get along?
I think Paramore might be the outlier in this situation.
Rob Thomas and Elvis would be off doing whatever they do together?
Yeah, well, she's like, strong female, type, and the other two are, So, I'm guessing. I could be wrong. She might absolutely love the other two artists.
Yeah.
So, Jason, you're the owner of the company. What do you feel is your role as owner?
Oh, that's a really interesting question. I've been, so Dan and I are partners, and we've owned a good chunk of the company together for now 10 years. And so I think probably first and foremost, as the owner of a real estate company, our job is to make sure that our agents have an environment in which they are productive, they feel supported, that they are have some fun every once in a while as a group. Really try and, this is a tough business, and I think part of our job is to make sure that we take some of that toughness away to make our agents' lives a little bit better. But because I really like the connection with people, I also really like to find good fits for people to join our company. So I work a lot with bringing new agents, experienced agents, other companies into the organization. Dan and I and our team work collaboratively to really kind of help figure out the direction of the company, the vision for the company, kind of where we're at now and where do we see ourselves when we grow up kind of idea. And then again, I think really just being there for when people need support or need guidance or need some advice or, really trying to be there for our people.
Yeah, well, I really feel like you kind of nailed it because I've often called myself just a problem solver.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, as an agent, I'm just looking for the resources, just like you said, to be able to solve people's problems.
I think it's a little bit about really just trying to, with one eye into the future and one eye into the present, and really trying to make sure that those two worlds are connecting. For me, I really like the bringing the sort of the energy and the culture to the company as well. I feel like that's something that I am always trying to make sure that that's in the right place.
Right. Well, if you've got a lot of soldiers out there trying to solve people's problems, you never know what they're quite dealing with. So a good, energy jolt is probably
absolutely. And the other thing that's really interesting about what we do is it's always changing, right?
Yeah.
Same thing for the agents. It's the rates are changing, the market's changing, the housing stock is changing. All of the different things.
So much so in the past couple of years.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or the way that we communicate with each other with technology and Facebook and social media and stuff like that. So I think that we have to kind of always be on the ready. And part of my job is just to try and see out ahead far enough where we can get ahead of some of those problems, even just for the company or for the agents, right? So.
Right. Perfect.
So you mentioned, Angela, that the market's changed a little bit in the last couple of years. First, how have you seen the market change, and then maybe how have you adapted your your style or your business to those changes?
I have done a lot of different things on the marketing front. I have actually, rather than trying to pull back and be conservative and be fearful, I try to be a little bit more of a lion and go all in. And I've actually doubled my marketing, my print campaigns, and I'm just building out the contacts in my database, because that doesn't really cost any money. It's a little bit more sweat equity.
Yeah.
So I really see this market as an opportunity rather than to be something to be concerned of.
Yeah.
I like that this company is in a growth mode, because I feel like it's an opportunity to gain market share and grow my business. So I think it's a good alignment for me.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's really, that I think you're right. I think it's, people want to be, we talked a little bit about culture and environment and feeling in the office. I think people like that feeling when it feels like it's moving forward and it's being positive, and people can feed off of that.
Right.
So I'm glad to hear that you say that that's how you look at it as well. Give me an example of how you're growing your database. Are you someone that likes to go out into different social situations and work that way, or are you doing a lot of mailing campaigns? Are you doing open houses? Like, how do you meet new clients or new prospective clients?
Ever since I've started a database, I have been just a complete hard ass as far as getting people to sign in at my open house. You know, I'm not there. It's a public park. It's not a service that I'm providing. I'm there. This is my business. If you want to walk into a private property, you're going to sign in. So I collect information. I don't spam them. I don't drip campaign them. I try to provide people with relevant information. So if something that's, I also use my title rep as a resource to get contacts. I've been a dominant farmer in one neighborhood, and I'm trying to replicate that model into 2 different neighborhoods. So yeah, that's basically how I'm doing it, is resources are utilizing my title rep, some online resources, and just patiently collecting information as people come across my path.
So you're putting the work into it in anticipation of those eventually turning into opportunities. Yeah,
because this is a long-term game for me. It's not like your quick transaction.
Right.
And
wait, can we get that on camera, please? She said, "This is not a get-rich-quick scheme, guys. This is a long-term career." Right? Yeah. Exactly.
And I really think that's the mindset people need to have, is that, you know, go for the low-hanging fruit, but also be willing to cultivate relationships over the long term.
Go back to the beginning of your career, and you knew that might be part of what you needed to do to be successful. Probably intuitively you knew you're going to have to talk to people at some point, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
That first time you knocked on a door, or that first time you had an open house, do you remember having fear in that moment? Do you remember feeling comfortable in that moment? And if you did have some of the fear or some anxiety, of course it's the first time trying anything, that's pretty natural. How did you overcome that feeling?
It wasn't my fear of talking to people on a personal level. It was a fear of them asking a question specifically about real estate, and me being new to real estate and not being able to answer it like right off the cuff. You know, that was my biggest fear, is that, am I prepared to really solve the problems that people are looking for me to solve, or answer the questions that they're looking for me to answer?
Right.
So the biggest thing for me was to just say, you know what, I'll get back to you on that. I really need to circle back and make sure I'm giving you good information. And the beauty about doing something like that is that then the person is giving you their contact information anyway.
Well, if they really want to know the answer, right? And it gives you another chance to talk to them, right?
Exactly.
It's a lot about, you know, the 1, 2, 3, 4 touch before they actually feel comfortable, right?
So Jason, I have a question for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
We all know that you were born to do real estate, but what were you doing before you figured that out?
That is a great question. So I am still, but long ago in a previous life, a professional musician and an actor and a singer. I moved from Michigan right out of college to Chicago, and I did that for 10 years. I actually didn't have a day job for about 4 years, which is kind of a musician actor's dream. And actually, that's kind of what led me into real estate, because I was still performing quite a bit in Chicagoland and needed a job that was a little less rigid on the time frame, or so I thought. Of course, all agents think, I can just show houses and I can have whatever life I want outside of real estate whenever I want it. But the idea was to have some flexibility for auditions and for touring and doing shows. And what ended up happening is I started selling a lot of real estate, and I thought, oh, this is kind of a cool way, kind of a unique way of getting into the business for sure. So,
yeah, definitely. So Jason, you work with agents all over the country. Do you have any tips for me that I could be doing here in California?
Oh, that's a great question. And I think this is probably universal for all agents. I think you actually touched on one earlier. I think building up your sphere of influence in your database right now is really important. And when the market comes down a little bit, there may not be as many consumers available to you right now, but we both know there's a lot of demand right now. And at some point that market shift is going to happen. And I think agents need to be prepared for when the market shoots back up. I also think that it's it could be a really good time right now to brush up on some of the learning and the development that you can do. As a company, we provide a lot of those resources for our agents to fine tune their craft, maybe learn how to do something they haven't done before. Maybe they focused on cold calling a lot, but now they've never done an open house. Maybe this is a way to learn how to do that. And I think really just, keeping that mindset of that this is you mentioned it earlier, this is a long-term career. It's not a good market. It's not a bad market. It is just the market we are in. And there's always been a market that we've been in. There's been ups and downs and all over the place. You asked earlier the question about, what do I think my role is? And we also talked a lot about, talking versus listening. I have a philosophy that leaders in a company should be listening to every aspect of the organization. It doesn't matter where a good idea comes from, as long as it's a good idea. So if an agent here in RSM comes across with an idea that says, hey, I think this is a better way to do it, we want to make sure that they know they have a channel all the way across the platform to bring that idea forward. We love it when you guys bring us, hey, I just found this new piece of tech, or I just saw this new way of doing something that I think is really cool. We want to make sure that everybody in the organization knows that they have a channel back to bring that good information forward. Because we know that if it helps you, it could help the whole thing. And then also what that means is that you as an individual agent may not be able to afford it or be able to execute on it.
Right.
We have all of that.
And to your point, as far as like agents communicating with you guys as to what they need and how you can deliver that, I really feel like as a company that it's time that we stop looking at each other as competitors and more like family and, link arms. And because really we should be building Century 21 Affiliated as a brand. And we're not competing with one another. That's what I've noticed. And if something's working for me, I'm so happy to share that with other people so that, we're having success as a company and as a group. No,
and Angela, that's a great point, and that is exactly the spirit in which we try to operate. We use #AffiliatedFamily all the time, and it's part of our core values. We really want people to feel like they are in a collaborative environment, that they are feeling supported, that we are there for them when they need us. To do a real estate transaction, you need both sides of parties getting together. Our job as real estate professionals is to bring those people together to make the transaction happen. And the best way to do that is to go into it with the mindset of collaboration and getting along.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
I think that some of our agents are just so quality that we really need to tap into that resource.
Absolutely. Speaking of natural qualities, I understand that you are very passionate about the community in which you work, and that primarily is Mission Viejo. So if I'm new to Mission Viejo, what are some of the top things I should do when I get there?
So do some kind of lake activity, whether it's kayaking or paddleboarding. Find a little neighborhood sushi spot. My favorite is Samurai Sushi. They do Monday through Thursday. They do a half off your second roll, and they play the cheesiest pop music when you come in.
Perfect.
And then there's Wineworks off Oso, great atmosphere, small business, family owned.
And now you're getting because of this, you're getting big discounts there for the rest of, there you go. That's awesome. So if people want to learn more about Mission Viejo or just you and your business in general, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
The best way to contact me is by text if you want a quick response. If you need a lot of information, maybe email me, but then I also have an Instagram account and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. So I'm on all those platforms.
All of it. They can find you in lots of places.
And YouTube.
That's good. So you're not a secret agent then? You're not
I
a
try
secret
not to
agent.
be.
Good. And just so you know, for those anybody interested that you know of that want to get a hold of me, I'm more of a text guy. I tend to respond more to text, but I'm on all the places you just talked about, email. Don't ask the staff. The staff might say I don't get back on email as much, but
Texting is probably the
texting is the best. And again, I like to hear from all levels of the company, and I like to hear from people outside of the company about just what's happening in the market. And obviously, if anybody's interested in learning more about us, I'm happy to tell that story over and over again. But has this been fun?
I really enjoyed it.
Me too. This has been great,
You're
Angela.
so easy to talk to.
You are easy to talk to. We're like best friends, though. I love it. No, yeah, exactly. Maybe we should go get that sushi and that wine that you were just talking about in Mission Viejo. This has been fantastic. Angela, you are great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.